According to the National Registry of Exonerations, almost 3,000 people have been legally exonerated after being wrongfully convicted, sentenced, and incarcerated for crimes they didn't commit. Their convictions are often overturned with the help of groups like the Innocence Project. And in recent years, local district attorneys' offices in cities like Philadelphia and St. Louis have introduced conviction integrity units that have freed people convicted by their own offices, sometimes after decades in prison. Now in Minnesota, Attorney General Keith Ellison has announced a new conviction review unit in partnership with the Great North Innocence Project. The partnership, which started taking applications in August, is one of only a few in the entire country that operates on a statewide basis and is one of the most expansive charters of any unit in the U.S. Here to talk about Minnesota's new conviction review unit is Sara Jones, Executive Director for the Great North Innocence Project, and Staff Attorney Jim Mayer. Thank you both for coming on.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sara, I'll start with you first. Tell us how the Minnesota's Conviction Review Unit came into being, and how was the Innocence Project able to partner with the AG's office?
It came into being as a big idea that we had, that oftentimes when we take on cases for clients we believe are innocent, we run into legal roadblocks in the court system. And while they get hung up on these technicalities or limitations of the court system, we still believe they're innocent. And with the cooperation of a prosecutor's office, we may be able to take a more holistic look at a case and look beyond the roadblocks in court and identify people who are innocent and deserving of exoneration and being freed from prison. And while many of these conviction review units are in county or local government units of prosecutors' offices, we wanted to think big and think statewide. And so we started talking with Keith Ellison, the Minnesota Attorney General, in 2019 to get this started.
Well, I was just about to ask you about this conviction unit being run by an attorney general rather than a local district attorney's office. Why is that so significant, Sara?
Well, in Minnesota, the Attorney General doesn't always have jurisdiction over cases that originate in one of Minnesota's 87 counties. What we are hoping, however, is to, over time, bring more and more of these county prosecutors on board with this idea through the leadership of the Attorney General, and encourage them to cooperate and proactively be willing to look at cases that are from their own county, and have the Attorney General office as a third party with a little bit more objectivity take a look at these cases and determine, based on the totality of the evidence, what had happened in the case and whether or not the integrity of the conviction is questionable.
All right, Jim, to you. The Great North Innocence Project has been working for years to free those who've been wrongfully convicted and incarcerated. Does this partnership change the way you guys will continue to operate? For example, how you select cases?
Well, as Sara mentioned, one of the opportunities that the Conviction Review Unit gives us is a vehicle to have cases reviewed that might otherwise be barred by some technical or procedural requirement. Post-conviction litigation in the court system can be very challenging because there are a lot of rules designed to prevent defendants from going back into court over and over and over again. But sometimes those procedural barriers are really obstacles to justice in an individual case. So this allows us one more tool, one more venue to present cases where we may have more options for a client who really deserves relief.
So, Jim, once you've decided to take on a case, what happens next for those who don't understand how this sort of works?
If we're taking on a case, first we would do an initial screening process to see if that case is appropriate under our own criteria. Once we get to that point, since we're talking about the Conviction Review Unit, we would make a determination on our end that we thought the case was one that was appropriate for the Conviction Review Unit. If there's a colorable claim of factual innocence here, but some reason why a traditional court challenge may not be the best option, in that case, we may take the next step of presenting that case to the Conviction Review Unit. This would involve filling out a special application that was developed for that unit, providing certain types of information that they demand, and then triggering an investigation that will be carried out jointly between us as the lawyers for the applicant and the Conviction Review Unit, which is housed in the Attorney General's office. So it's sort of a unique process.
No, absolutely. Now, Sara, in addition to taking applications via mail and email, you've also made forms available in all of Minnesota state prisons. It seems pretty obvious to have the forms made available to people already in prison, but that's not always the case with other states, right?
Somebody who has already been released may also have a claim of innocence, and the importance there is that they suffer from the collateral consequences of having a felony record, even if they've already been released from prison.
I see. I see. But most states don't necessarily make this available for people that are currently seeking help on their cases. I mean, the biggest things we hear about these wrongful convictions are that these individuals who are in prison, no one listens to them, no one's hearing them. And so is this what sort of alleviates that gap?
I think in some cases it may be. For example, in a case where we determined that because of the legal standards being so high and the criteria for getting relief in court being so high, we might have to decline taking a case through that traditional court process. Whereas with the Conviction Review Unit, they would have an opportunity to apply for relief outside of that court system, as Jim mentioned.
We've talked about the one of the goals of the unit is to not only free the wrongfully convicted and incarcerated, but to change the system that allowed them to be there in the first place. That was a quote from you. How are you hoping to achieve it?
What we will do with the information that we get based on the cases that the Conviction Review Unit takes a look at is keep track of what are the causes of wrongful conviction that we're seeing, what are the patterns of those causes, which causes are more prevalent in Minnesota cases, and how can we address some of those through policy changes in our system, whether it's through court rules or statutory changes in Minnesota law, consistent with the kinds of work that we do already as an innocence organization.
And Jim, last question to you. Do you think that this will be accomplished, especially given the fact that this integrity unit is not located within a local DA's office, which sometimes is responsible for these convictions, that'll remove sort of the conflict there?
Well, I think what we're talking about doing with Attorney General Ellison is leading by example. And there are certain cases, as you may know, that do get prosecuted by the Attorney General's office. One recent example would be the Derek Chauvin case, which a lot of your viewers have probably know quite a bit about. That was prosecuted directly by the Attorney General's office, even though it arose in Hennepin County. There are certain cases where the Attorney General's office will handle the prosecution, and in some of those cases, the Conviction Review Unit has already started to look at those. The Attorney General, therefore, leading by example and saying, look, we're willing to look at our own convictions as an office, and so you, county prosecutor, should get on board and accept a review of your own cases as well. Be willing to take a second look. And I think ultimately the test of success for this Conviction Review Unit will be whether it has a positive impact on the cultures of law enforcement and prosecutors' office around the state, such that it improves the quality of justice in Minnesota.
Excellent point. All right, Sara Jones, Executive Director for the Great North Innocence Project, and Attorney Jim Mayer, thank you so much, both of you, for your time tonight.